It's not a clinical diagnosis, empty nest syndrome, but it's real. And what I recommend people do, talk about it. You have to talk about it. You can't just pretend that it's not a real feeling. You go from knowing every little thing that your child is doing and eating and wearing to literally overnight not knowing much. Hi there, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty. We have a very interesting show for you today. But before we get there, we would like to take this opportunity to ask that you share any podcasts that are meaningful to a friend, with a family member, subscribe. We hit our 50,000 mark and we're looking to get 100. So with your participation, we will get there much faster.
Yes, that's for sure. And we can't appreciate you enough for leveraging your friend groups.
We've gone about this in a very organic way, but we're about to start to ramp it up because the feedback that we're getting is very positive. And we would love to ask that you give us feedback. Please let us know what you think about our content. Let us know if you want us to go in a different direction. We are looking for constructive criticism. Whatever you feel like sharing with us, it will help us grow. So please give us your feedback.
Awesome.
Today, we are going to cover empty nest syndrome. Yes, it's a real thing. I'm feeling it over here, but it's not all negative. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons. But before we go there, what was our takeaway or our win for the week?
Well, Farley and I tend to share the same schedule in life, and it's
true.
not on purpose. I haven't had a wedding I can't even remember the last wedding I went to. And she, of course, had a wedding as well on the same exact day.
Exactly.
And weddings are so fun. And I was having a good time at this wedding, and I didn't know who was attending. I didn't know who was on the guest list. And I honestly didn't care. I was excited to just share in the couple. And I was sitting at my table and I loved the commentary that was happening. They were talking about the fact that they don't use mother-in-law. They've changed it to, and some people call it monster-in-law. I don't like that either. Mother-in-law has been my name for my mother-in-law for as long as time. They called it mother-in-love and daughter-in-love. And
that's so nice.
All of it. And it really is so much nicer. And again, coming off of our prenups, the legality of it isn't really why these two people came together. The love is what you hope they came together for, right? For
I think that's so nice. The wedding that I went to, the weather was so monsoon-like and horrific. And if I was a bride, I think I would have been nervous. If I was the mother-in-law of the bride, I would have been stressed. I can tell you that the union that I witnessed was all about love. They could care less that it was raining crazy. They were so excited about taking their vows and moving forward with their marriage that everything else didn't matter. Their energy was incredibly intoxicating. You just wanted to breathe them in, and everybody that shared a story on their behalf or a speech, they were speaking from their heart, and the love you felt in the room was infectious. So going to a wedding, a lot of times they say that's a great place to meet a significant other if you're single. And if there were any single people at this wedding, they absolutely would have been hit by Cupid, because you could not walk away without feeling infused by true love. They're an iconic couple. They've been dating for 13 years, and everyone has witnessed their love over the 13 years. It was a very special place to be. We are going to start off with our top 3.
Well, we have some fun top 3s today. And if you've been out and about lately in suburbia, number 3, weighted vest. Is it really the best? Suburbia going crazy over the newest fitness test.
It is a rage. I don't know if it's a rage everywhere, but it is a rage in Monmouth County. And if you don't have one, you're not maximizing your efforts when you're walking your dog or going out and exercising.
My husband had a friend who was ROTC based, and it was called rucking back when it first started. And now it's become a suburbia trend. And for women, there is some data that suggests that it's good for bone density and osteoporosis.
It does force you to stand up straight when you put it on. But if you have back issues, it might not be great. So it's something that you might want to ask your physical therapist or your trainer and just see if you're the right candidate for it. And obviously you can increase or decrease the amount of weight that you have, but I can't imagine having a little extra weight when you're going for a walk isn't going to benefit you, because as long as the test of time, people have been putting stuff around their wrists and their ankles, and
people carry things on their heads in other countries. So if we can handle it.
Yeah, exactly. What's number 2?
Number 2, AirPod translation tools. Do you understand me? Apple Intelligence has taken it next level. So you have global translation anywhere in the world.
Spies are going to love this. It's funny because when people are talking in another language on purpose in front of you and they think you can't understand, well, it's going to help us with that. What next? I mean, really, like and she also read in the article that if you have a phone with you and let's say that you're at a cash register and somebody is talking in a foreign language to you and you're listening to what they're saying and it's deciphering it, you can respond and show them your telephone screen so that they can understand you in their language. It's becoming another AI scary situation. Technology is taking over and we're not sure that it's great. We're our own worst enemy in a lot of ways.
And the other crazy thing, and here's where it's going to get tricky and how Apple is always smart about forcing you into things. If it's AirPod to AirPod, there is no need for your phone. It'll mute the volume so that I hear what you say and it translates for me and then it responds back.
Cashiers are actually wearing AirPods though. Like that's the thing, I mean, a subway, maybe you're going to have a conversation with somebody across the way, but the city streets, you see people with AirPods in because they're taking telephone calls. But I'm not somebody that wears AirPods in my ear all the time.
Yeah, well, this is what Apple's trying to do. It's how they took away the USB-C and you couldn't plug your headphones in anymore. And they forced you into AirPods.
You're right.
They forced you into AirPods. So that's what they do. They're sneaky. They're smart. And that's why Apple Intelligence, AI, watch out and be careful.
Scary.
All right. Speaking of scary, number one is really scary. What the hell was that? Aliens bounce hellfire as video evidence mounts in their orbed existence. And we covered this in episode 58.
If you haven't seen it, it's hard to watch and understand it. If they're having court cases in Congress and people are testifying and people are losing their jobs, there's reality here. They saw a UFO and it was shot at by military
hellfire.
And it was bouncing off. It was almost like it had a shield. And somebody was quoted saying we're like cavemen throwing rocks at a UFO. That's the effect that it had.
Nobody is talking about this. We're shooting at alien intelligence. If that's true, we are being aggressors to an alien life form that we know nothing about. So there's more to the story here, people. And that's always what we want you to think about. Maybe we shouldn't be shooting at these things that we don't know what they are.
Check out the New York Post.
Or do they? Well, that's the question.
I think they come and they observe. If you go back and you read, ever since some big red box-like thing was hovering above our military bases, they're obviously coming and taking it all in. We pose that as a threat because it looks like somebody's spying on us. So therefore we're retaliating. But if they retaliate, look out. Yeah. It's frightening. It's a real conversation. And like I said, I had somebody confirm that there is proof of intelligence elsewhere and it's kept in the Pentagon. So that's a real story.
Well, I think we should be playing nice. How about that?
Yes. I hope they're all like Marvin, the Martian.
I agree. I hope they understand that we are not that smart. Not to blow up the whole planet.
So that brings us now to what comes after a wedding, then comes marriage, then comes a baby in a baby carriage. And I'm going to read a quote to you that is so spot on. And it actually crushes you at the same time. A mother's job is to teach her children not to need her anymore. But the hardest part is accepting the success of it when they actually leave and they don't need you anymore. By no means is being an empty nester a negative situation. There's so many pros, and we're going to discuss it all.
Yeah, and we want you to feel empowered and have a few takeaways that are going to enable you to live in your life if you're going through this, or if in a couple of years where I will be a full empty nester. 3 of my kids are quotes out of the nest, 2 in college and 1 in Colorado. I see it coming, and what you can do if you're not there yet, or what you need to do if you are experiencing it. We hope that we can give you those takeaways today.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot. It's not a clinical diagnosis, empty nest syndrome, but it's real. And what I recommend people do, talk about it. You have to talk about it. You can't just pretend that it's not a real feeling. You go from knowing every little thing that your child is doing and eating and wearing to literally overnight not knowing much. And it's a very unnatural way to be. And I'm feeling that. It's a hard situation. I know it's where they're supposed to be and they're doing exactly what I teed them up to do, but it doesn't make it any easier going from being a part of their daily function and all of it to hoping that they're going to call you.
Yeah. Well, that's the first part of it. What is your purpose, right? That's the, oh my God moment when your child leaves. And if you're in that situation where you're an empty nester for the first time, it's a scary transition. It's not only a scary transition for you, but it's also a scary transition because a lot of your day-to-day activities were based around your child's activities. And that probably wasn't something that you noticed, but it was just your existence, especially where we are. Senior year is such a busy time and you're so inundated in their life. And then graduations happen and it's this momentous moment and you're living with them, hopefully not vicariously, but a little bit because they're an extension of you. And then that moment hits and you're dumbfounded with what your purpose is. So I think that's a really hard thing. And first thing is just to acknowledge that, right? Acknowledge the fact that you are in a new place than you've ever been before. And even if you only have one child, it's been for 18 years.
There's a change in your home environment, and that is very noticeable. The sadness is real. The identity shift. Who am I now that I'm not the mother of Chase, Mackenzie, and Abby, and I'm not going to a million events and I'm talking to their friends' parents as I'm sitting on the sidelines? It can become a lonely feeling because what you had in common with all the people that were connected to you through your children suddenly fall by the wayside too, unless you have true friendships. It's a major life transition. And that's something that everybody needs to acknowledge and not try to make light of. It's real. But that also frees you up in a lot of ways. It allows you to go back and have purpose for yourself again. You can actually live for yourself and you're not selfish by putting yourself first for the first time in a long time. It feels good.
Which brings us to the second issue. You're also left with your spouse. And for a lot of people, hopefully you still like the person that you've spent all this time with because you both have been preoccupied with your child's life. And now you take the child out of it and there's this common, denominator that you both were working with. And some people can look at their spouse and say, wait, who are you? We haven't had a lot of connection. So if you're going through this at home, or if you're leading up to it, or start to think about that relationship with your spouse. It's really hard.
How often have you heard the last kid goes off to school and now you see people hit eject and they're going through a divorce because they've been holding on and stayed together for the children? We're not saying that that's right or that's incorrect. It's a fact of life.
Right. And
it happens often.
I agree with Farley because I had family members who did exactly that. And the two sons were completely blindsided by the divorce. And it really created a problem because they thought their entire life was a lie. And mom and dad are putting up face and they don't really like each other. So try and identify some things ahead of time that you can do to mitigate not liking the person that's going to be left in the house.
So it doesn't feel like the rug just got pulled out from underneath you. And then whoever did the rug pulling, there's automatic negativity and it's your fault. What did you do, mom? Or why are you doing this, dad? When really it took a lot for both of you to suck it up and walk the walk for several years or however long it took leading up to this point.
Yeah.
There's also a loss of emotional connection. You are connected to your kids. It's like watering a plant. You don't realize how much your plant is watered every day by having a child in the house. It feels good. It feels like the sun is shining your way because you're needed and you feel valued. You're giving your love to somebody and you're putting love into the food that you're making for somebody to consume. So there's a lot of that goes away as well. And it's real acknowledgement.
And the on-call nature of parenting these days, you had a purpose and you knew that somebody needed you at some point. That's not within your house anymore is a huge part of this empty nest syndrome. And we talked about technology so many times. It's also a challenge because your child, our children, can be sucked out of their experience because they can call home at any point and they can be sucked into home because the parent calls and touches base with them or sends them a message. So are we letting our kids fly the nest in the ways that they need to? Or are we allowing ourselves to grow as the person that let the bird fly and let them fully fly on their own?
One call a Sunday when I was in college. Right. It was Sunday call collect to mom and dad. We had a 5:00 call scheduled. And they would be standing by and the operator would say, I have your daughter Farley on the phone. Will you accept this call? And they accepted and we would talk for about 10 minutes. And I summarized my week and anything that was important that I wanted to talk about. And I listened to what they had to say. And that was pretty much it. I look at the way we overparent. They are supposed to be able to just fly away. And with Life 360 and all these different apps or that allow us to see what time they get home and, where they are, it's not as much of a freedom feeling as we had back when we were going through this. I will say, though, having somebody in another country, I do appreciate being able to see her face on FaceTime. I am not a FaceTimer. It's not something that I do with my husband. It's not something that I do often with my friends. But now I am a FaceTimer with my child in Australia because I want to see her face and I want to look at her and she wants to see us. So there is value if you schedule a call with your child during the week, do a FaceTime because it does feel like there's connectivity. You're looking at their face, you're feeling their emotion, you're sharing a smile, maybe you're seeing a tear, whatever it is, it becomes more real. So I'm a big advocate of that, but not overdoing it like every second of the day, 24/7.
Well, and you said the word schedule, and I think that's something that's really fair to have a little bit of a rhythm and a routine to let both mom and dad figure out the empty nesting part without feeling like they need to check in on their kids 24/7, and allowing the child who's developing on their own and especially these kids between COVID and technology, developing some of these interpersonal skills. They need to figure out how to make new friends. A lot of people have had the same friend group from when they went to elementary school through high school, and college shuffles the deck. Allowing them to feel uncomfortable is also part of the evolution, and not being so readily available every single time. There are times that you need to give them some space and figure it out on their own.
They have to figure out who they are independently away from you. Mm-hmm. And we have to figure out who we were before they came along. We used to be our own unique individuals. And the relationship that you had with your husband or your significant other was different. There was time for yourself. There was time to date. So focus on some self-care and engage in things that bring you joy. It'll take your mind off of your child and you'll recognize, hey, it feels good to do stuff for me again that I enjoy. I'm a human being and I'm only halfway through my life and I've got a lot of living to do. Plan for the future, make plans. You can travel, see parts of the world that you haven't been able to go to, or look forward to your retirement and start talking about what that's going to look like, because the future is right at the tips of your fingers. And now that you don't have children to think about and to make decisions revolving around what works for them and where you need to live because of this school and that club and whatever you're tied to, you have freedom.
The other part is that if you're looking for all this time that you have, you're going through the same thing that your child is going through. When you say, oh, make new friends, try new activities. Like, remember, when you give somebody advice, maybe that advice is also applicable for you. We should be putting ourselves out there. You can easily try something that you've never tried before. Try something that's going to socially and physically challenge you and get you involved. And Lee and I are avid tennis players. Farley sucked me in after not playing for a long time. And it really is good because it does develop those social bonds that we need. And you can pick up some of these sports. That's why pickleball is doing so well, because people need to re-engage the community. Playing a sport with somebody will teach you more about that person than sitting with them for hours and hours and talking, because you will learn social and personal cues that tell you if they're your person or not. The way they play the game is such a telling thing.
Or go back to work. Find a profession. I am going back to school and I'm going to do something that I feel like is my calling in life, but I didn't want it to be my calling and take me away from my kids while I was being privileged enough to be a stay-at-home parent and was available when they needed me. I was able to travel to go watch all of their games. So I'm going to be taking a course on sports therapy, and not meaning physical therapy, but how to be a therapist for athletes. And I'm not going to be accredited like a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm going to be the initial stage that talks to the person, and not a life coach, really a sports coach of sorts. And I'm looking forward to that phase of my life.
Yeah.
So you can pick up new hobbies. You could go back to school. You could go back to work. There's so many different directions that you can go into. Make a schedule for yourself, like Monday through Sunday. Try to make some plans during the week so you have something to look forward to that allows you to go out your front door and not staring in your kids' bedrooms and walking around moping in your own home. Get charged up to do some things that make you feel good.
And to Farley's point, start something that you're passionate about. Transitions are never easy, but yet transitions give you an opportunity to figure out what's important to you. The college transition for both parents and kids is one of the most difficult that we come upon. And in that regard, I have a social media company called Boomerang Board. That's my little pet project, because keeping yourself mentally engaged is so important. And we want to make sure that people are engaged in whatever they do when they're in this difficult transition. So find your passion, find your fuel, find your fire, and know that it's never too late to start something new.
Not to mention, maybe you're going to get some increased financial freedom. Take advantage of that. There's two different types of empty nesters. There's empty nesters that are sending their kids out the door and they're going to college. But there's also the empty nester where the kid graduates from college and returns home that summer, and you feel your house filled with love. And all of a sudden they're going out the door to begin their real career, and you're moving them into their next phase of life. So they're coming off the payroll.
Yeah.
So it depends on what area of empty nesting. I'm in the middle of both of it. I have 2 kids that are off the payroll, and I'm very proud of them. And I have 1 kid that's still in college. So I'm in the middle. Bottom line, they're not at my house. They're not walking out my door every morning, and they're not sitting at my table looking for dinner every night. So yes, there is some financial freedom there, yet we're still in the thick of some things. I would like to say there's a bit of improved sleep because you're not overly stressed out about what state they're in because they're rolling in at 2:00, or you have to go pick them up and drive them home. You have that type of a freedom if you're not one of those psycho moms that's looking at your Life 360 or your GPS tracker to find out where they are. So you might be able to sleep a little bit better too.
Well, for those of you that are struggling like me at home to get the phone out of the bedroom because people can text you all night long. Oh, I don't want the phone to ring in the middle of the night.
That's scary.
But yet that boundary has been lost with technologies.
You can set up overriding. You can shut down your phone at night, but you can have your children or your family members override the fact that the phone is shut down. You will only receive those types of calls in an emergency situation.
Yeah. So our takeaways are: focus on your self-care. Make sure you have balance with your children and their lives. Check in on them. We're not saying don't be present, but have some balance. Reconnect with your partner. Take some vacations. Do some things that inspire you and have fun. And try something new. And hey, if you're lucky enough, you can reconnect and do some things for your parents. We're both actively involved in our parents and our in-laws' lives. So
that's a whole nother episode. You're sending one person out the door, and now your parents are coming through your door. That's for another day. On that note, we're going to go to our Got Grit Award of the week. And it's a very sore subject. The horrific Minneapolis school shooting at the Annunciation Catholic School is responsible for bringing us our Got Grit Award recipient, which is tragic. And we are going to cover this in another episode as well, because the gun policy in our country is not working. Our Got Grit winner is a 5th grader, and his name is Victor. And Victor decided, as bullets were spraying through the stained glass window of the church, they were in their back to school first mass. Thankfully, these kids all knew what to do in a terrible situation because they practiced this at school and are trained to recognize something of this nature. Victor jumped on top of his friend Weston and protected his body with his own body as they were going under church pews to seek refuge. This boy took a bullet in the back, and his buddy Weston has gone on every media outlet saying, I would not be here today if it wasn't for my friend Victor, who laid on top of me as a shield and took a bullet. No 5th graders, no 10-year-olds should ever have to go through anything like this. It's disgusting and it's so heartbreaking. And there was an overwhelming response to a GoFundMe, and the parents received over $300,000 in support because people were so blown away by his heroic actions. So our hearts go out to all of the victims. 2 people were killed. 2 children were killed in this horrible shooting. There were a lot of weird glimpses on the first day of school. What's wrong with people? Villanova, they experienced it. A couple universities had the same situation.
Chattanooga.
The copycat effect. But the fact that these kids in 5th grade know that it could be a real shooting event, and how to take cover and how to step in front of a bullet for somebody else. I don't think that there is a greater act of heroism.
No, it's an incredible story, and it's definitely a subject that we need to cover, and we'll be bringing that to you.
Yes.
So thank you for that Got Grit winner of the week.
And now make us feel better with
I am
your
going to make
with
you
your
feel
lyric
better. I
of the
am
week.
going to make you feel
Thank
better.
you.
This is a good one for both the topic at hand and our Got Grit winner. Here we go. Seized upon the moment long ago, one breath away, and there you will be, so young and carefree. Again, you will see that place in time, so gold. Steal away into that way back when you thought all would last forever. But like the weather, nothing can ever and be in time.
So young and free. I don't know.
Stay Gold by the one and only Stevie Wonder. If you haven't listened to that lyric in a long time, it was in the Outsiders movie, and that's really where it got a claim to fame. It's what reminds me of that movie all the time. And just
I want to go see them on Broadway. I just saw that. Okay.
So
mental note.
Stay Gold by Stevie Wonder. And again, we have this playlist on Spotify, and we'd love for you to tune into it and be inspired by some of the music and the poets that bring us these lyrics each week.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope that you will subscribe to us, share our episodes, share our podcast, and give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Stay Gold. Peace out.